Alright, welcome to another movie vlog. It is Saturday night, I'm home alone, and as usual, if I'm home alone I have a little movie night. I've cooked myself beef tacos. You've seen it once, you've seen it 1,000 times. And tonight, I'm going to watch a film that I just got on Blu-ray that I've never seen before, Dario Argento's Phenomena. I've only seen one Argento film before, that was Suspiria, and I loved that, so I'm hoping for something similar. I'm pretty sure the soundtrack is by the same people, which I loved in Suspiria. It is currently hot as a motherfucker. Turning the fan off to record this video, I'm already sweating. Like, it's ridiculous how summer just hit boom like a shot today. Like, it just came out of nowhere, and I wasn't prepared for it, and I'm not enjoying the heat. But I'm gonna check this film out. I've been looking forward to this ever since I pre-ordered the Blu-ray. All I know about it is that Jennifer Connelly stars in it, a young Jennifer Connelly, who I'm a big fan of. Oh wow, that's some appetizing shots from the film on the menu. Oh, Donald Pleasance. Is that Donald Pleasance? I think it is. It might not be. That's cool if it is. Okay, so I'm going to check this out and give you my thoughts. I'm hoping that I like it because the Blu-ray was a little bit expensive for one film, but fingers crossed it'll be a decent watch. I'm not expecting a masterpiece by any means. I'm just expecting a good old kind of 80s kind of fun horror film with some, knowing Argento from Suspiria, some pretty violent murders. So here we go. I was going to say Suspiria then. Alright, so it's worth noting that there's many different versions of the film, apart from the 3 cuts that you get on the Arrow Video Blu-ray that just came out. You can watch it in Italian, or in English and Italian, a hybrid, because this is the Italian version, which has a few scenes that aren't available in English. With these films, they wouldn't record the sound of the dialogue, so they would dub it over later. So I'm going to go with the English-Italian hybrid, so it'll revert back to Italian for the scenes that aren't available in English, which I think is about 5 or 6 minutes. So I figured I'd go for the longest cut. Why not? And right, let's just hit play and start this thing. Oh wow, just started so instantly. Also worth noting again, this is a 4K restoration that Arrow Video exclusively carried out. And I've heard very good things about the transfer, so can't argue with that. Obviously it's not 4K Blu-ray, but it's been sourced from a 4K restoration. So anyway, I'm going to watch this, enjoy my food, I'll see you on the other side. Here we go. So I'm about 45 minutes into the film, and I'm really enjoying it. And as I said, it was boiling hot. It's cooled down a bit now, thankfully the sun's gone down a bit. So when I turned the fan on after recording the video, it was on the floor, just kind of just tilting back and forth and just pushing a light breeze across my legs. And the opening scene of the film has this character on this country road in the middle of nowhere, and the wind starts sweeping up and the character's like, "Ooh, it's getting chilly," you know. And it was one of those weird kind of happy accidents where kind of the fan on my legs really like got me into the feeling of that scene. It's weird when that happens. I remember going to see Everest in the cinema a couple of years ago, and the room was quite chilly, and it really added to the experience of watching the film. Anyway, the film is about a girl called Jennifer. So Jennifer Connelly got to kind of, I don't know, keep her real name. I don't know whether it was in the script before she was attached to be in the film or not, but regardless, she's an American girl who comes to Switzerland, which is where the film is set, to go to a school. Her father's a famous actor, and I think, or he's a famous something anyway, some kind of celebrity. For some reason she has to go to this school for a year, and she has this connection with insects, which is set up right at the beginning when we see her character. But there's been some killings in the town where she goes to study in this all-girls school, and already there's been a couple of murders, which we've seen in different kinds of ways. And in typical, I would say, Argento style, even though I've only seen one of his other films, there's been some pretty gory detail in some of these things, but it's very like stylish gore for some reason. There's something about it, like it's so well kind of composed and put together. You can't help but marvel at it at the same time as kind of cringing in disgust, I think. And again, I'm just really loving the way that the film is shot, just the way the camera moves, the way the camera is placed, the little kind of details that he puts in there that just really make it interesting to watch. It's a bit of a slow burn so far, but I'm really enjoying it. The music is really cool. There was a random part with a Iron Maiden song that seemed a little bit out of place, but apart from that, I'm really enjoying it and intrigued to see where it's going to go next. Donald Pleasance is in the film. He plays a Scottish scientist who specialises in insects, and we've had a scene between him and Jennifer, which is very interesting, and I thought really well acted by him, and he does a Scottish accent. And the voices are a little weird because again they're all speaking English, but it's all dubbed over later, and so at times it kind of it looks very ADR-ish, like you can tell it's been done afterwards. But sometimes it really is it really matches up, and you kind of forget about it. But I do keep coming back to looking at the lips a little bit and seeing how much it matches. And there's been a couple of moments of Italian so far, but like really small snippets, so it's been quite seamless, the Italian to English stuff, where they haven't got those scenes in English for whatever reason. So, going to continue now. Just thought I'd check in while I took all the stuff from dinner downstairs and cleaned up. Going to sit back down now and watch the rest of the film and check in with my final thoughts once it's done. Okay, so I'm about an hour and 10 minutes into the film, and all I'll say is that Jennifer has kind of found a hint, a clue as to where this killer might be coming from, and so she goes to this house and she has every reason to believe that this is where the killer lives or where the killer kills people or whatever, and of course she just walks straight into the house, and it's just like one of those classic, like, what are you doing? Like, it's that horror movie trope, cliche, whatever you want to call it, where people just make dumb decisions, and it's just really making me stressed out. But I like how stressed out I'm feeling right now and how invested I am in the story and the mystery of who this killer is, and I'm just so tense right now as to what's going to happen, because she's taking far too long in this house, she's doing things she shouldn't be doing, and it's stressing me out, and I just want to record that. So there you go. Let me continue this. Okay, I've finally finished watching Phenomena. I flipped the cover around as well because I love this original poster artwork. I think it's really cool, and I'm going to stick with this one for my copy. Nothing on the back, which is a bit disappointing. Just a glare from a camera and just a black, just massive ink that really could have been used better, I think. But either way, what a great Blu-ray. The transfer was fantastic. That's one of the things I love about Blu-rays, you know, and the fact that films have always been shot on film, you know, because it would be such a shame if like all those old classics were only ever available in, you know, like standard definition video, because then they'd all look like dog shit on the big TVs we have today. But you can really go back to the original film elements, and there's so much information that can be mined there, so that when you do a 4K scan and you get everything right and then you put it onto a Blu-ray like this, it looks fantastic. Now, granted, this isn't like the Avengers or something. It's not going to be this perfect, crisp, clean, you know, amazing looking transfer. It's more earthy. It's got the film grain, and again, this isn't like a, well, it is and it isn't a visually stunning film. I think there's some great shots in this film, Phenomena, but I mean, you know, it's not certainly like, oh, Phenomena, oh, so, you know, incredible, like, looks amazing. No, but just even just simple stuff. Like the opening shot of a bus just going down a country road in the mountains, just it looks great. Like just the clarity, the depth of the image. I love Blu-ray. Now the film itself, holy shit! That last 15 minutes were incredible. There was 2-3 moments where, well, 4 actually, where I just covered my mouth and went, "Oh my god!" At one point, I literally had to like sit up straight, and I don't do that often. It really brought the big guns at the end, and I thought that was perfect because it's a bit of a slow burn of a film, especially this, I think, 115-minute Italian version. So there's the international version, which is about 110 minutes, the Italian version at 115 minutes, and then the Creepers version, which was released in the US, I believe, and was cut down and chopped down to 1 hour and 23 minutes. I've heard it's not very good and very choppy, and you know, so I don't know if I'll even watch that one, maybe just to see out of interest, I guess. But yeah, so I went with the longest version. I'm glad I did. I didn't really even feel that much of the Italian in there. There were these, it wasn't even scenes, it was just these lines every now and again would be spoken in Italian. And in some ways it really fit, actually, because there's a scene with Jennifer Connelly and this, one of the women who works at the school, and they get into a bit of an argument, and the teacher starts speaking really angrily in Italian, and then Jennifer fires back in Italian. It's almost like she loses her rag and stops speaking English, and then Jennifer is speaking back in Italian just to kind of piss her off. Like, it kind of worked with the scene, but it didn't feel like there was that much of it. There is a piece on the Blu-ray that shows you the differences between all three cuts, so I'll be definitely watching that to see what were the new scenes, I suppose, or the scenes that weren't in the international version, whatever. And that can be a tricky thing when you have a Blu-ray that has so many different cuts and you've never seen the film before, so that it's not like, oh, this is all new stuff. I mean, it's all new to me anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference. Anyway, the film, like I said, it's about a girl who goes to Switzerland to this kind of all-girls school from the US, and she has this psychic kind of connection with insects, and there's a killer on the loose. And yeah, I don't want to spoil too much from there really, but there's some really memorable characters in this. I really wish that Donald Pleasance's character was in it more. I wish he had a bigger role, because I really enjoyed his scenes. I thought he was probably the standout of the film. Some of the acting is a bit hammy. You know, Jennifer Connelly would go back and forth between being quite stale and wooden and being quite enchanting at other times. I mean, I think most Oscar-winning actors and actresses don't, you know, start off their career with the best of performances. Some of them do, but she certainly wasn't incredible in this. But she served the role, you know, as well as she could at that time, I guess, and I enjoyed seeing her around that part of her career, because I'm a big fan of her work, you know, from many different films, you know, from the really horrific and haunting Requiem from a Dream to Beautiful Mind, and other films in between, Labyrinth. You know, again, she wasn't great in Labyrinth either, so it kind of, you know, it is what it is, but I really liked her in the film, you know, and I liked her character. I like the insect thing. And I should say that when I say I like her character, it's because of the insect thing and because of the journey she goes on. She's not really an interesting character, pretty one-dimensional, but that's kind of what you have to go along with these kinds of films. So to go into Phenomena, you can't really be expecting a horror masterpiece, but it is, I think, a great horror film, because it delivers on the holy shit moments, it delivers on the mood and the atmosphere, and I really like the mystery. I like who's the killer, you know, because you see all these shots of people getting killed, you never see who's doing it, and you see the instruments that are being used to kill these people, and so there's lots of things. I had a big suspicion halfway through the film, and I thought, that's the killer. And I thought, that's a shame I figured it out. But then it turns out I was completely wrong, so I was really happy about that. A couple of, like, again, like, just cheesy moments, bad lines. Like, there's a scene where Jennifer's on the phone to her father's agent, and she's like, I don't want to be murdered. It's just like, how can anyone say that line with that amount of sincerity? And, you know, it just seemed like an odd line. The music was great by Goblin, and other kind of music was used, like, again, did I mention it? The heavy metal that kind of pipes in. Bit of an odd choice, you know, there's a scene where someone's being held hostage and they're trying to get to a phone, and ordinarily that would be like sound dropped out completely, really tense trying to get to this phone, and they just put some Iron Maiden in, like da 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 da, and it just, the tempo just completely did not match the slow paced and kind of tense-ridden visuals. It just seemed completely out of left field, didn't seem to work. Bit of a shame. It doesn't ruin the film, but again, it's a film with quite a few flaws. But visually, I think that it's a really nice film to look at. Again, only going off Suspiria and this, but Argento's films are really colourful, and the lighting is always very atmospheric, and there's great shots and visually interesting ways of using the camera, and some really, again, stylistic gore, which I really enjoy in a kind of, oh god, but oh, it's really nicely done kind of way. And those last 15 minutes, as I said, particularly the last 10 minutes, you know, that's what I want out of a horror film, you know. I mean, not every film is going to be a masterpiece like The Exorcist or The Thing, but this one just delivered on all of the beats that I like in a horror film, and especially it being an 80s film, it's just something about it that was really, really, not captivating, but it drew me in, it hooked me in. There was something about it, it had that hook, And I love the atmosphere in the film. The character Donald Pleasance plays, he talks about how the wind comes in from the mountains and it makes people mad, so they say. There's this myth, and a lot of the scenes, there's just this wind swishing through the trees and the leaves, and it gives it a really cool mood, and it's just perfect for this kind of film, I think. Yeah, I really, I loved it. I loved the film. Is it a great film? No, it's almost a great film. It has all the elements, but kind of just falls at the last hurdle, I feel, with some of the acting and perhaps a little bit of the plot. And maybe even it's drawn out a bit too long as well. And again, a lot of those moments where it's like, why is that character going into that house? You know, nothing good can come of this, but they do it anyway. But you got to give in to those horror movie conceits, I think. And again, I don't think people look at films like, you know, the slashers and the horror films of the 80s and critique them all that much, because they are what they are. And judging it as that, I think is one of the best I've seen. It's definitely a new horror favourite. And I said the same as Suspiria. I don't know which one I'd prefer, but yeah, call me a big fan of Argento films. I think I might pull the trigger on getting the Bird with the Crystal Plumage release that's coming out next month. Because, yeah, if it's more of the same, then I'm in. I'm really in. So, yeah, there we go. I'm really glad that I love this, because now I have this great Blu-ray edition. I was worried I wasn't going to like it that much, and there's a 2-hour documentary, commentary, different versions, so I'm looking forward to diving into those special features, and I think I'm going to do it pretty soon, actually, and not wait, because usually I'll do that. There's so many Blu-rays I have of films that I love, and there's so many special features I've never even touched, you know. Maybe I should get to those first, but it is what it is. So that's it. That was my little movie night for, again, I keep meaning to say Suspiria when it's Phenomena, but there we go. Leave me your thoughts down below if you like this film, if you don't like this film, what you think of it, what you think of any of Argento's films. Let's get a discussion going. Recommendations even of Argento. I don't know much about his career, what he made before this, what he made after this. I really have little to no kind of knowledge on the guy, so Phenomena. Awesome. Loved it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you, 'cause